Happy Sunday to you, everyone. I hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here today. You see, I got my vest on here, so for me, the weather that you have to wear a vest is the best. I tell you, I love that cold air. It just makes me feel energized and everything. Well, speaking of which, last week I've been working a lot on dog agility, and as I told you yesterday, I've had a lot of questions coming over this last week. So during this week, I want to share some of those questions with you. Today, I kind of picked one that I know those of you who've had a lot of puppies, sibling puppies, or just a couple of puppies at the same time are probably dealing with the same situation. So I just want to make sure I touch base on it today. And the question is this: I have two puppies that like to wrestle a lot. What two puppies don't like to wrestle a lot? And I've used the word enough, okay? And when I want them to stop, it works. And when it works, I give them a treat. But they will usually get right back after it. They'll go right back to wrestling. And as soon as they take that treat, there they go again. They're going right back into wrestling. And she goes, and I feel like I'm essentially rewarding them for wrestling. I don't want it. What's going to happen when I don't want them to wrestle at all? So now I use enough, but again, they come and get the treat, and they go right back to wrestling. Is there another way I should be going about doing this? Because the enough coupled with the treat just doesn't seem to be working for me. And yeah, and that's a problem. And I'm going to kind of harp on a little bit this week, guys, about treats. I love treats, love to use treats. But treats, the world doesn't evolve around a darn treat. Sometimes the animal simply has to focus. There's other things that we have to use to evoke the response we're trying to get from our dogs, and to make sure that in the future they repeat that response. So we have a couple things happening here with these two puppies, and again, this is just a foundation for all of animal behavior, and it applies to darn near anything I could ever talk about on any of these live videos. Animals, at the end of the day, are hardwired to respond to some stimuli with a fixed, listen to that, a fixed genetically programmed response. Yeah, we call them sign stimuli. You can read about in the hawk and goose theory with Conrad Lorenz and 90 million other studies that are out there. But animals are either hardwired to respond to stimuli with a fixed genetically programmed response, or to respond to stimuli based on experience. In other words, learning. So in this situation here, the puppies are wrestling. Okay, that's a fixed genetically programmed response. And suddenly they hear the word enough. Well, sure, in the beginning, again, the word enough had no meaning to them whatsoever. It was just some sound being uttered by the owner. But then when the presentation of the treat arrived, wow, now that again became another one of those fixed genetically programmed responses. It was fixed. You see food, you go get food. That's what we all do. You don't have to be told to do that. A baby being born, the seconds, minutes after being born, knows exactly where to go find nourishment. Yeah, so the puppies see the food, they go to the food. That's fixed, does not have to be learned. However, after a few presentations of the food right after the word enough, and now we have learning. Okay, so I'm wrestling and playing around here. Hear the word enough. I turn, there's food. Now all of a sudden, yes. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that food. Now I'm going to go right back to what I was doing. It's kind of like asking two kids that are running around the house crazy, say, here, stop. Here's a cookie. And they eat the cookie and they go back to playing. Okay, so we have, basically enough is what's happening there, and that's going to be a learned behavior attached to the food. But then when the pups eat the food, they see one another, and that is a stimuli or stimulus to either one that says, now go back to play. Why would we want to play? Why would we want to wrestle? Again, that's another one of those fixed genetically programmed responses, because nature put play. There is no such thing as real play. I've been over this before. Play is a tool that nature uses for animals, especially social predators, group living predators, to learn about one another, to learn about your resource holding potential, your fighting abilities. What weapons do you have? How good are you at winning competitions? Yeah, so we can use that if it ever gets serious one day to where there's only one treat, there's two of us, I want the treat more than you. You think you can take it, but again, you're not going to take it because you learn through play how good I am about acquiring that treat or defending that treat from you. So again, play is used outside the context. It's one of those things that then falls and works for hierarchies. And hierarchy of situations are those in which nature was and gave those animals who are smart enough to know their place. So again, the hierarchies, these are fixed genetically programmed responses that also get coupled in with learning. I learn, but I automatically kind of know my place literally from the minute I'm born. I start discovering that at 4 weeks of age with my sharp milk teeth that I have. I bite my siblings, and I learned that real quickly that pain motivates. Wrestling is part of that. I don't want the wrestling to go away in this situation here, but I want you to understand how it's working here. You're going with fixed responses that they were never taught, learned responses rolling right back into a fixed, rolling right back into a learn. This whole situation is extremely healthy. When it starts becoming unhealthy is when we don't allow the puppies to wrestle at all. So again, now still go ahead and break this thing down. I do like the word enough, or no, or stop it. It doesn't really matter, just as long as you stereotype it. And it's okay to have the word enough coupled with a treat, but at the end of the day, I think we need to understand exactly what the word enough is actually doing. It's disrupting. It's a disruptor. It's not an ender. It's not been taken that far. It's only been taken to first base. It disrupts the play. Probably in the beginning, it didn't. Or it may have, depending on how hard the word enough comes out of the owner's mouth, how loud and with what kind of meaning it comes out of the mouth. But now it's simply a disruptor. So if you want to move on to second base, third base, then you need to take it a little bit further. Meaning enough must come to be understood by the puppies that play's over. Play's over. All right, it's not enough. Quit chewing on your brother, quit chewing on your sister. Eat the treat, go back to chewing on your brother and sister. No, if you're going to use the word enough, then it should mean enough. We're done. No more play. You got to play? Now no more play. To do that, you're going to have to either use one of two strategies, and you're going to have to mix them up every now and then. Strategies would be this: simply restrain. All right, here, tell you what, here we go. In your kennel you go, yep, right over there. And you go in your kennel over there. And you go outside, and you stay in here with me. That's called restraining. That's just simply called being a zookeeper. Now enough means that play ends. There is no subsequent play. Or you can use training. And that would be, again, as the puppies get older, training would become more usable than being a zookeeper. When they're too young, they're just not going to grasp the concept of place the way that an older dog will. And it just may not be the tool that works for you. But as they grow, when they're about 4 months of age, definitely I'm pushing that. Hey, you, place. You over here, place. There you go. Now, that's what enough means. If I tell Captain no, or even just stop it, or I could probably just say something like excellent in a certain voice, whatever that behavior he is doing, not only does it cease right then, it remains ceased. It does not continue. So that's what we need to do here. And the only problem is that the approach, right in theory, spot on, love it, enough. They stop, here's a reward, but now let's move on. Let's move on. And at the end of the day, too, another thing that's going to happen as well is as these puppies get a little older, only one of two things is going to happen here. Either the play will start to subside some, and so it really won't be that much of a problem, or it could go full 180 degrees and become a real problem because the play and the wrestling turns into full-on fights. And I'll be covering that this week in this thing that's out there called sibling rivalry, sibling problems and issues where people are advising never get two puppies of the same litter. Again, I'll just kind of give you a little trailer on that. That's a bunch of farce in that. It's called management here. It's management. It's group living mammals. And if you use the right tools, you can darn near manage anything together. P of R's, principle of resemblance, those things come in, make it very difficult. But at the end of the day, these are puppies. And that's the only issue here, is that the word enough just didn't go far enough. It just didn't. So keep that in mind. Every time your pup does anything, your two puppies, again, they're doing some of these things because they were not taught to do these things. They're doing them because nature says you need to understand what your place is in this world, and you're smart enough to get that. You need to understand where is food and how does it arrive in your mouth, and anything and everything that's available to eat. And if it's presented to you, you need to take advantage of that. Do not ignore that. Go get that food. So all that stuff is fixed, and then the word enough gets attached to it, and that's simply the learning part of it. And that's how animals move through the world. They take fixed behaviors that they're born with. They use those behaviors in their world. They get feedback to those behaviors, and that feedback, the cost benefit that comes with both, will determine how much those behaviors repeat in the future. How much will they? And the neat thing about animals, they don't tend to ever do behaviors that did not work out for them in the first place. It may take 1 or 2 times, depending upon the feedback that they receive. But again, I've stated before, there are many one and dones, and animals are not creatures that continue to repeat behaviors that are all cost and no benefit. So me, with these 2 puppies, enough means this. It's over. You're going to be separated right then and there. I'm not going to just disrupt it. I'm going to disrupt it and follow through. Later down the road, I have 2 puppies playing. I'm on the phone. I have something I have to do for whatever reason, and I just don't want it to continue any longer. When I say enough, it ends. And it stays non-play, no wrestling, until I give permission for it to start up. So there you go. Manage it. Don't make it go away. I kid you not. I cannot tell you how important play is. Wrestling is vitally important. So keep it going. Just manage it. Okay, guys, I got a lot of questions to answer this week, and a lot of them are really important questions. So I'm going to be tapping into those all this week. If you have questions of your own, send them in to me. Send them in to me. I still got time on this 365. I still got a few months left to go, and I'm trying to cram in as much information as I possibly can during this year, just to make sure I meet my promise that I will give you enough information in a year that if you glean it, whatever little nuggets, maybe only 2 minutes on a 20-minute video, you will have enough of those to ensure that you have the life with your dog that you always dreamed of. Because I certainly do, and I love it, and I want you to have the same thing. Beautiful day. Captain's laying down here. He's been very patient. He's ready for you to throw the ball a few times, so we're going to go do that, have some little fun. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.